Husky, hardball-Uconn. Let's hear it for the team under Coach man. We're not gonna dream with Steve Cully's guidance. We'll take the lead on the field. We're unstoppable. We're never beat. In the stands, the crowd's alive, cheering for UConn. They won't give up the fight from the first pitch to the final out. We're Husky hardball, we've got the power. Husky hardball-Uconn. Let's hear it for the team under Coach man. We're not gonna dream with Steve Cully's guidance. We'll take the lead on the field.
All right, and here we are for Husky Hardball. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. And with me is always the icon himself, the legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia. Joe.
Good morning, Steve. Hope you had a good weekend.
Well, I didn't, but it's
okay.
Good.
Well, we'll start the new week then. We'll start the new week.
I guess we should talk about the elephant in the room first. There was some big news over the weekend involving our UConn Huskies basketball program. And I believe it started with our good friend, the big man himself, Eric Ryba, with his post that he is entering the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his playing time decreased during the season. He didn't contribute much in the NCAA tournament. Some people said to me that they read into some of Coach Hurley's comments that Ryba maybe hadn't gotten to the point they thought it would be. So he obviously has decided to go spend his next 3 years somewhere else, and that's just another hole. But they were always going to bring in at least one, if not two more big men, because I don't think they thought he was ready for it. So, hey, look, it happens. He's leaving. Jaden Ross is staying.
I read that. That was good to hear.
We'll see about Jalen Stewart. I would think that he would stay. I've heard some talk that Demery's thinking about the NBA. I said, what, watching it?
When I saw that, Joe, I almost fell out of my chair.
Did
you know for sure that it was the NBA or the transfer portal?
I thought it was the NBA.
Okay.
Or maybe it's the transfer. Maybe he'll transfer. Who knows? I mean, it's such a disaster now, college athletics.
It is.
It's become, you don't cheer for individuals anymore. You cheer for the front of the jersey. But the kids play for the back of the jersey. It's like Dan says, this is me season. When October comes around, it's we season, as in we are a team.
We're unstoppable. We're never beat.
Oh,
sorry.
What's that music doing?
Sorry.
I know it's a pretty song, but
sorry.
So we'll see. We'll see what Demery decides.
I was surprised to hear that, and it was kind of ambiguous. It just said something about making a decision that was best for my family. So I didn't know for sure if he meant the transfer portal or the NBA. Either way, I was shocked.
Well, I think if he was in the transfer portal, we would have heard of it because
you're right. You're right, because that's all out there.
That ship has sailed. So,
and then I was shocked by that, and then it was good to hear that we were going to do all we could to keep Braylon Mullins. Some projected him as a mid-round first round pick. I read on several sites. I know that it's not accurate.
Well, it might be, Steve. All you need is one person to love you. That's all you need. You need one person. You need one person to love you, and that's how you make money. I think he should come back. I think he'll make as much money at UConn next year as he would. This $5 million projections, I think, is crazy. I don't think anybody's going to get $5 million at UConn. Put it that way. maybe a couple of million, maybe 2 million. But if you've only got $20 million to spread around, you can't give $5 million to one player. And if I was going to give it $5 million to a UConn basketball player, her name would be Sarah Strong.
And, it was funny. The other thing I saw, Joe, was the entire women's team at Tennessee entered the portal.
Well, that turned into a disaster for Cam Caldwell. By the end of the year, Holly Rowe put out a post criticizing the athletic director, which is not her. If she's a reporter, she's not supposed to be doing stuff like that. We've seen reporters getting caught in bad situations in the last week, haven't we? And I'm not gonna talk about that because that reporter is a friend of mine. So I'm gonna lay off.
I'm sorry, I did not know that.
I worked with her at NBC Connecticut, so I'm not, and I like her, so I'm not going to comment.
I do too, and I just think it's unfair what's happening, and there's definitely a double standard. So,
yeah, I'll just say this about it: if you're an insider reporter, you can't. That's the difference. If she was just an anchor, or if she was a play-by-play person, that's one thing. But if you're an insider reporter, it's a bad situation if it's what it appears to be. So
yeah, I know.
Let's move on.
Okay, so UConn baseball.
Let's get to that. Yep,
we got a lot to go through. So we started against Northeastern, I believe.
We did. This week was Bryant. I don't want to go all the way back a week and a half ago. Yeah, it was Bryant.
Oh, you don't want to go that? Okay.
No, so it's too far back. Since we
the Creighton series and everything, they smoked Northeastern.
And then they took 2 or 3 of the Creighton. So
correct, right? So Bryant they defeated 6-2, and we got over 500, and it was a good game. The bottom of the 5th, Paxton Myers came out of the pen. We were down 2-1 with runners in scoring position, and Myers kept it at a 1-run game. And then the Bats came alive. Rispoli had a sac fly, and Nader Wachter came home to score on a wild pitch, which we have seen quite a bit of. And Myers came out of the bullpen for 4 2/3 of shutout innings, 3 hits, no walks, and struck out 4. And the guy who has been on fire, like you talked about, the freshman sensation, Cam Riggy, right? Did I say
Riggy.
Right?
Very right.
Only took 10 episodes. He provided an RBI double in the 9th. To give us 2 more runs and push the lead to 6-2. Charlie Hale got the start. He only lasted 3 innings, but he did only give up 1 run. And Minnick also had an RBI. So,
Jackson Marshall had 3 more hits. I mean, it's a good midweek victory. Bryant's having a good year. They're good in their conference.
Yeah.
So coming off the 2 out of 3 against Creighton and the win against Northeastern, it certainly kept momentum going. Big game for Myers out of the pen. I mean, he and Greg Scott III have been the 2 most reliable relievers, and with Charlie Hale on. Yeah, so it's a good win, and then they moved back into Big East play.
What were your thoughts? I just wanted to go back. I guess we snapped a streak against Northeastern with the win as well. That's why I thought it was a big win. We snapped like a 6-game losing streak against them because they're always
Northeastern's been traditionally good. I haven't looked at their record to see how they were this year, but I think that was a big momentum building win for the weekend.
So
for the Creighton weekend.
I was looking at the Bryant game. I was just curious. Chris Palomani was at the leadoff position, and I was curious to know what your thoughts were on that switch because he has not batted leadoff. I don't believe.
I just think Jimmy was trying to shake things up a little bit. I don't think it was anything more devious than that. Trying to get some offense going. And and seeing what the lineup looked like. I mean, he moved Menzel down to the 9-hole. Rispoli batted 8.
Yeah.
So he obviously was shaking the lineup up,
shaking the trees a little bit. But that was, Bryant has great facilities. Their program has improved. And again, we finally at least got over the hump and are over 500 now. But that was a good start to the week before going into conference play against the mighty Bulldogs from Butler. And that was at Butler, I believe, in Indianapolis. Yep. We lost the first game in a nail biter, 5-4. And this was one that we allowed 5 runs in the final 2 innings, dropping the season opener. And I had heard
series opener, not the season opener.
Series opener. I had heard Butler was not very good, so this was a bit of a surprise. And we had a 4-0 lead.
Butler's not awful. Butler was
they're undefeated
3-0 in the weekend coming in. So I don't know who gave you that scouting report, but it was a little bit off.
Oh, it was Chris Decitis. Thank you. No, he was just he had said that Butler traditionally had been bad, but no, they were undefeated in the Big East. And we had a 4-0
Well, they
lead.
had swept one series. That's all that meant. I mean, the Big East season has just basically begun.
Right. And 4-0 lead, bottom of the 8th. Charlie West started the whole way, 6 2/3, 3 hits, struck out a career high 14. And, we gave him some run support with 4 runs. But we've seen this happen several times at the end of games, not being able to close them out. What were your thoughts on this? I mean, the pitching staff struck out a season high, I believe, 17 batters on Friday. And Palomani extended his reach base streak to 28 games. But
let's go back to your question about the pitching, because West had thrown 110 pitches. It was a throw day for Oliver Pudvar, the Sunday starter. So he went in and pitched an inning, and he did fine in the 7th, but he gave up a little traffic in the 8th. Greg Shaw, the 3rd, came in, got out of that inning, but then there was a single and then a 2-run home run by Danny Gavin, tied the game at 4. And then they came on and scored 2 runs off of, Myers came in and gave up the home run to Gavin. Then he walked a couple of guys and gave up the walk-off single. So that was an awful loss. There's no other way to describe it. It left 6 runners on, which wasn't awful. You only got 5 hits. You got shut down. So just not, just a game that UConn should have won. Nobody had more than 1 hit. That was a horrible start to the weekend, and you would have thought it would have given Butler momentum. But that's the thing about baseball. Momentum's only as good as your next day pitcher, and UConn's next pitcher was their best pitcher, and that's why they were in Suki, and that's why they were able to right the ship when he was brilliant going the distance in the 3-1 win on Saturday.
Yeah, Caden Suchi came in. Suki. Bringing us with the 3-1 victory to 5-3 overall in the Big East. And it was a nice rebound against Butler. And, the sophomore retired the final 19 batters he faced after allowing a 2-out RBI single in the 3rd. And he got his 3rd win of the season. He only allowed 3 hits. So the run support was by one guy, a 3-run 5th inning home run. I'm sorry. Rob Rispoli started off with a hit, a single, and then Palomani had another single, and Cam Rigby tied the game with an RBI single to right. And that's when the wild pitch happened. Cam Rigby stole a base, and Jackson Marshall doubled to left field, which made the lead 3-1. So Suchi was in full command the rest of the way.
Are we going to go back and forth on this all year? Pronouncing his name right?
Suki. Yes. So it was a nice rebound for us to answer Butler and, pull it out. And it's the first time we've seen a full game pitched by one of our pitchers.
Well, I think after the bullpen meltdown on Friday, Coach Benders said to Suki, "This is your game." He threw 117 pitches, didn't walk anybody, which was critical, and struck out 11. He's got electric stuff. If he's on his game, then if you can get him a couple of runs normally, we'll be in pretty good shape. And he was brilliant on Saturday.
Well, you had also talked about, being a left-handed pitcher as well is huge, because they're mostly facing the right-handed batters. So having a strong lefty as, like you said, your weekend starter is huge for the team, correct?
I'm not sure I said that, but you're right. Yeah, it's
you did.
It's the if whether it's lefty or right, it doesn't matter if he throws as hard as Suki does and has good control. Then it doesn't matter. And most batters are right-handed anyways, so that's why I'm not sure I would have come up with that. But it was a good start, good win, good clean game. Huskies didn't commit any errors, got 9 base hits, and got the ship righted. And then on Sunday, was a close game until the 7th inning when UConn exploded for 10 runs, and the game was run rule shortened, 13-0.
13-0, a dominant shutout performance. Do you think this was just a random outburst of offense, or do you think this is how productive it just shows how productive and capable we can be offensively?
Well, I think, I think it's proof positive that when everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction, they can do that. You got Marshall's having a terrific year. Riggy's having a great year.
Yes.
Palomini's been solid. Minnick is back in form. It looks like Gabby Tirado has taken over the catcher's chores with Riggy going out to the outfield.
Yeah.
They gave Menzel the day off yesterday, and Peyton Jemison, who's normally been a third baseman, had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Delaney's contributing a hit here and there. So when everybody's pulling in the right direction and the bats are flowing, it's a great offense. But that's the thing about baseball; it doesn't always happen that way.
No, it doesn't. And I believe, was it Connor Lane, the initial starting catcher?
Yep.
Okay. So he is pretty much going to be out long term, like you said. So it's good that they have a couple guys they can depend on there. I just was, it was surprising to see the change up of the order, but it seems to be working for sure, which was good to see. And, to have the run rule against the conference team, again, flexing our muscles, and that was a huge win, putting us at 20-17. But I was very happy to see them get 2 series conference wins between Creighton and Butler. What are your thoughts overall?
Well, they took the series from Xavier too, Steve. They were 2-1 against Xavier.
No, exactly. They're doing very well. They got over 500. They played a tough non-conference schedule.
Well, you know what? At this point of the season, you don't worry about the overall record. It's how you do in the conference, because you want to be one of the 4 teams that qualify for the conference tournament.
And I believe, you had said Creighton was one of the top conference teams. So
Xavier too.
To get 2 victories over them was huge. And then obviously Northeastern snapping that streak, and then going on the road to beat Butler, I thought was great for us. And, starting to get in a rhythm, looking at the statistics, the starting pitching, that's what my curiosity is piqued at. You have both Charlies, West, Charlie Hale, and Suki, obviously. And, they've been mixing in a few other guys out of the bullpen with Paxton Myers, Shaw. The other guy, I wanted to ask about Sean Finn. We haven't seen him. He struggled a little bit. What are your thoughts there? Do you think that he'll get back in there? Do you think
if he pitches well, he will. If he earns his way into the circle of trust, but so far they don't. They didn't feel the need to bring him in that close game. If it's close game, a conference game, he's not pitching. So his best. You might see him this week against Boston College, who beat up UConn pretty good when they played earlier this year. But yeah, when I would think Pudvar and Shaw and Suki and West, they've been really good. Those are your those three guys have combined to start 27 of the 37 games, and they've started all the conference games. That's your Friday, Saturday, Sunday guy. And then maybe Austin Trumpor will be a guy. Maybe you'll see Hale get the start on Tuesday. They gave Sean Finn one start. That was just as an opener type of thing. And then Tristan Asland maybe gets a start in the BC game.
Yeah, Aslan was getting starts early on, and I thought he had done well. He's 1-2 on the
an 8.49 ERA would indicate he's not.
No, I get that, but I recalled him starting and having a couple good outings, and then they had Joe Tellerico, who also got his first victory. They were talking about, but yeah, I mean, if they can stay consistent with their pitching, and then have their bullpen come in and handle things to close it out, I think they're going to be okay, especially in conference. But as you said, we will see.
Well, they have a big test this weekend with St. John's coming in, because St. John's is leading the conference on the season at 5-1. Usually always a pretty strong program, so that'll be a big weekend at Elliott Ballpark.
And then we also have the revenge game against BC. What do you think about that? Do you think we can come and compete with them and get a victory there?
Well, last year you got hammered by BC at UConn, and then you went up to BC and beat the crap out of them there. So I mean, it all depends what the pitching situation is going to be, who they pitch, and because the regulars all play every game. The starters play every game. You can almost the lineup's been changing around, but the names are normally the same. Like I said, I don't know if Menzel got hurt on Saturday, or he just wanted to give Jemison some run yesterday as the second baseman, but it's normally the same 9 guys. I think they've established Tirado as the catcher, Riggy in the outfield, Minnick in the outfield, or not Minnick in the outfield. Who am I thinking of?
Palomani's in the outfield.
Yeah, Walker's in the outfield, Palomani's in the outfield, and then the infield is pretty solid. So it's just a matter of where Coach Benders decides to put them in the order. And this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the order worked.
Yeah, it's just interesting that Palomani has seemed to thrive in the leadoff spot, which I wasn't expecting, because he had been batting, third or fourth as your cleanup guy, and you're putting him in.
Well, he was never hitting fourth.
Was he third? I thought he
might have been second, but he was never batting.
Okay.
He might have been second and fifth, but Marshall's been the cleanup guy the whole year.
Right. But that's what kind of surprised me, was moving Palomani up as far as they did, and he seems to be responding well to it. And Rispoli going down in the order, that was a little surprising, but I mean, he's played decent as well.
Well, they're both getting on base. I mean, Palomani's got a 477 on base. Rispoli's got a 425. So I think you can you can flip either one of them, and they just like the way Palomeni has been playing at the top of the order.
Right. And that's huge, as you said, the on-base percentage, being able to get walks, which they've improved on, their pitch selection, they've been getting more walks, and that has been allowing them to score more runs. The only other question I would have is, about Maddox, Delena, if I said that right. They're playing him a little bit more, 29 games, out of the 36, I believe he's appeared in, starting 26 of them, but he's only batting .213. He was a guy I believe we had a little bit higher expectations for.
Well, 2 years ago, he was the preseason player of the year. Then he got hurt, missed most of the 25 season, and he just hasn't come around this year. He's trying to learn a new position. He's playing better at third base than he was before. But, if you got a guy like that in the 7-hole who can hit with power, then, not everybody can bat 1 through 6.
No, of course not.
And you're not moving Palomeni out of the top 6. You're not moving Riggy out of the top 6. You're certainly not moving Minnick or Marshall or even Wachter out of that top group. So that's where they've seen the best chance for success, not just for Delena but for the team. So that's where they put him.
Yeah. So just off topic, I wanted to ask you, because we had talked about it on the radio. What were your thoughts? The Yankees and the Mets both had losing streaks over the weekend. I believe 4 or 5 games for each.
Both have lost 5 in a row.
I have always thought, I didn't see it, but do you think it has anything to do with the weather?
No, it's bullshit. The other team's playing in the weather.
Yeah, no, you're right. The other team's playing in the weather.
No, I can tell you what the Yankees' problem is. The bottom of the order stinks.
Yeah.
They run Randall Grichuk out there, and he hasn't gotten a hit this year. He must have compromising pictures of Aaron Boone. Caballero's been a flop. Austin Wells is never going to be more than a 220 hitter. Grisham they overpaid for at the top of the order.
I saw that.
Chisholm hasn't been good. And on the Mets side, without Soto, they're like lost. Like yesterday, I read this in the New York Post. They won't play a position player 6 days in a row in the field, which is just mind-boggling in this era. So Luis Robert Jr. Didn't start yesterday. Well, they could have pinch hit him, but they would have had him playing in the 9th inning for 1 inning in the field, and they wouldn't do that because of the organizational rules. What are we doing here?
Well, look who we have here making a special appearance.
Wow.
Coach Schumann.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on?
Where are you heading to?
I just put everything away from the event yesterday. So,
the weekend event, right?
Yeah.
So you're heading out.
Well, I'm home. I'm home now, but I had a storage facility I put everything in. So
we were talking about UConn baseball getting a couple series victories against Xavier, Creighton, and Butler, snapping a 6-game losing streak against Northeastern, beating Bryant, and now they have BC coming up and a big series against St. John's at home. St. John's, who is leading the Big East right now.
I'm curious with is that money from Patino's guy spread into the baseball team?
Maybe. I would doubt it.
I was surprised. When I looked it up, I was because I knew they were coming. They were going to be playing St. John's, and I was like, "Wow!" I'm like, because I haven't looked at like a couple of weeks. I haven't been on. I couldn't believe that St. John's was that good. So I was like, I said maybe that money's spreading around everywhere over there at St. John's.
Maybe it is. Maybe they got more money than they're letting on.
Yeah. So I mean, it was well. I when I talked to Chris, he expected us to destroy Butler, which we did. We just had that one early hiccup. But he's been with the team and he's giving me his input. His input is we need to win more games.
They're yeah. I mean, they've struggled with. They've struggled most this a season with obviously giving up at times, spotty pitching wise. You know what I mean? So, but they have great bat. They had great bats, but they've been streaky there too. So, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. Baseball is such a streaky sport. Couple things go awry, and next thing you know, it's 4 or 5 games in.
Exactly.
So it's good to see him turning it around.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because they play all the time. So it's not like other sports where football you lose a game, and okay, it's a whole new chapter the next week. Baseball, you might play. You're going to play multiple games in a week, and if you're struggling, it rolls into a whole week. So, it's so interesting. I think that's what makes the sport great, by the way. But hopefully they can continue to roll. Hopefully they can take it more. They really need to start to make more of a run in the Big East. So,
well, they're tied for second. You can't do much better than that.
Dave, Joe, and I were talking.
Yep. Yeah.
We went first with the elephant in the room about Eric Ryba and Silas Demery. Ryba's in the portal. Demery may be going to the NBA. Those were a little bit shocking. What were your thoughts?
With Ryba and maybe Demery?
Yeah, Ryba going into the portal, and Demery. It seemed like he may be declaring for the NBA draft. I saw the post. I couldn't tell, but Joe was right.
I read all. Yeah, I saw it too.
Yeah.
I don't think he's end up going in a portal. It did seem like a big thank you.
Yeah, it seemed.
But it didn't seem like one of those. It didn't seem like a It didn't seem like a portal thank you to me. You know.
It seemed like he said.
It seemed more like
for my family, and Joe said he's trying to go to the NBA.
Yeah, that might be. I don't know what. I don't think he was on any boards.
No, that's why
if he's going to the NBA, if he's going to the NBA,
right?
If he's going to the NBA, it's as a spectator right now. It's not as a player. That's
what Joe said. I agree. It would be very challenging for him, but they are going to go all out to keep Mullins, which I think is a smart move. But were you surprised to hear Ryba? I mean, he obviously, we like Joe said,
not at all. Not at all.
Oh, okay. Because I figured, he'd at least have a shot.
I'm not at all. I surprised he struggled at times.
Yeah.
And maybe he feels like he's not a good fit with Hurley. That's all. Maybe he doesn't feel like he's a good fit.
That's true. And
so,
Joe,
I totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Reed, which we didn't know. Remember 2 years ago, or whatever it was, a year and a half ago, we started talking about it. We weren't sure on Reed, but Reed seemed to respond really well to Hurley, and he actually got better and better. Where, you know what I mean? Like, Hurley's a fantastic coach. He has obviously a unique style, and if you respond to his style, through the roof. I think if you don't respond to his style, I think you probably go in the opposite direction.
Right.
So, like guys who embrace. I don't know. I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No. I just totally agree with everything you said.
That's why I say, like.
I think he froze.
think you're freezing up, Shu.
Yeah, I think he's. I
don't want to put him in a category, right? There were players that they just struggled, and they transferred. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I back in?
Yeah, you're back.
Am I? Can you hear me or no?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Can you hear me or no? Oh, you can hear me. Well, I was just saying and would leave, because they couldn't handle that. There's.
Oh, nope, now he's gone.
There he goes.
But yeah, no, I agree that Ryba probably wasn't made for UConn. But looking at UConn football having their spring game over the weekend, I don't know that it was probably the best move. We just don't draw for them.
Well, yes, exactly.
They advertised the brunch with Coach, and we didn't get a ton of alumni that came for it. So that was I thought it was disappointing. And
how many people were there?
I heard about 3,000-4,000 for a crowd, and I heard 100. I heard 100 alumni.
Yeah, it was.
So what was the expectation? I'm just curious. I mean,
they thought they would get a little bit more on the alumni side for the brunch.
I think 100 was pretty good. To be honest with you, I think 100 is pretty good.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
If you got 100, and as far as the crowd, 3,000-4,000.
I think that's great.
Look, I think that's fine. I don't think
I think
more because I think people didn't expect it to be a game. They expected it to be a glorified practice, which is what it was.
Yeah. For the average attendance on the season to get 3,000 to 4,000 for the spring game is a great number. I think it shows.
Steve, I'll tell you guys a funny story. And this is when Joe was calling all the stuff, obviously when I was playing. My father used to love to sit in the stands and count how many people by hand would be at our spring game. It was like one of his strange pastimes. So he come back. We come back spring, and I think I was injured for 3 of the 4 spring games. I mean, the season wise, I was only out once, but like. I think I was out 3 of the 4 spring games, during my career. So he would come back and be like 485. He would have the exact number that he would count by hand for the spring game. So when I hear 4,000, it's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad, and it'll grow.
In the spring, no, I don't think so, Shu. I think that's what it's going to be. It's not Tennessee or Ohio State or Colorado where they draw. It's just never been a. It's just never been a thing. Even Randy tried to do some things with it. Had celebrity coaches and stuff, which was fun.
Yeah,
I remember coaching one year.
Too.
Yeah, well, Diaco would have let anybody coach. I don't know who his celebrity coaches were. I don't think frankly, I don't remember Diaco doing that.
Oh no, I swear he did because I thought my friend Uwe coached one of the games.
Yeah, but that's an alumni guy. I'm talking about Randy would have guys in the media do it.
Okay. I didn't know that. I never knew that.
Yeah.
He had guys in the media.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's different. I think that's cool.
That's creative. I like it. That's creative. I like that. I like those creative things.
And we had to make this. We had to make decisions. It wasn't, you rely on your coordinators and stuff, but we had to decide whether you're going to go for it or kick on 4th down and stuff. And yeah, it was fun. It was good. It engaged the media, which I think was important. And it engaged the fans and the players. Remember, it used to be if you won, you got steak. If you lost, you got Franks and beans. You got peanut butter. You got PB&J sandwiches and stuff.
True.
So it is. Yeah. It is what it is. It's the 15th practice. I guess the kid from Tennessee played a series, went in the locker room, took off his pads, and didn't come back. Everybody wrote about Tucker McDonald, the returning quarterback. That was the big.
Wait. Who did? Who did?
Tucker McDonald was
the kid from Tennessee must have gotten hurt because he left and didn't come back.
Is Tucker
Oh,
McDonald?
the quarterback.
came in.
The quarterback.
The
Jake
transfer.
Merlinger.
Oh,
I think is his
Merklinger?
name.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
But Tucker McDonald was the one that, remember Dave, Hanson's father said that he was really good or looked good as the number 2.
Yes.
He was the one who would have started the bowl game but got hurt. And they were able to keep him out of the transfer portal, which was big. And then,
he went in, but they talked him out. He was in the transfer portal.
Correct.
He was planning to leave.
No, I know. So. I know. I meant that he was. We managed to keep him after he entered the portal, and they thought very highly of him coming back. But obviously, it's Merklinger's job to lose. So hopefully he's not too hurt. But it was good. It was a good showing for UConn. I think there was a lot of curiosity to Coach Candle and what they were going to be doing and the new staff. And it was great for the alumni to have a chance to meet him and see what he's about. I think the game, obviously, it's just a 15th practice, but we'll see.
Did you do a show or anything I thought you were going to do a show or something or interview or something.
No, I couldn't go. I couldn't go.
Oh, you didn't go?
No. I was unable to attend. So, yeah. But, from what I heard, everything went smoothly. It was a nice operation, and the team looked okay. We'll see. It's 65 new guys, and we open up against Lafayette. So it's a tougher schedule, and we'll see what happens. I just hope the quarterback position has to be secure, has to be set first, and then you can go from there. I think they're going to be all right up front from what I read. They got 3 good backs. Running backs aren't as hard to find. Skylar Bell, they're not going to replace him, but they brought in some transfers there, and we'll see what happens defensively with the new defense that they're running.
Skylar Bell,
what defense?
What are they doing defensively?
I heard they're back to a 4-down front. They're not running an odd front like we did last. We played that 3-5 last year.
Yep.
It's going to be more 4-down, 4-2, like a 4-2-5. So it's a little bit different, and that's kind of what they got the personnel for. Joe, what were you going to say about Skylar Bell?
Well, I was gonna say I read Dane Brugger's extensive draft preview in the Athletic. He breaks it down pretty. He breaks it down pretty well. He's got Bell as a 4th round pick, and he's got Fignano as a potential 7th round pick.
Correct. Right. I read that as well. We thought, because Bell he did what he was supposed to do. He ran a 4.4. He would have a chance. Dave and I both thought he could go in the 2nd or 3rd. I initially thought 4th.
Well,
I thought
I thought he's rated as a top 60 player. But the way the NFL draft works is, unless you're in that first round prediction thing, top 32, whatever they say, like if they say like you're a top 60, more than likely, unless like Jones did, where he went like 13 feet, broad jump he had, unless you do something like that, more than likely, especially a receiver, there's so many receivers, you might get pushed down a little bit. So I think Dane Brugger's pretty accurate, actually. I think it's pretty accurate where he sees he can be. That's probably right, and if Fignano actually got drafted, I think that would be phenomenal for Fignano, because it is very difficult. There's not that many quarterbacks that get drafted. It's very difficult to get drafted as a quarterback. So,
when there's a good quarterback class, they'll take a lot of quarterbacks.
Even when there's not, they're not taking that many quarterbacks. When you look at over the years, there's not that many quarterbacks that get drafted every year. There are some years where I've seen 8, 9, and what's the most that get drafted? 15 to 20? That's not a lot at all. I would say less than 20, probably 15. So
Yeah.
There's not many quarterbacks that actually really go. So if you actually get drafted, it's pretty darn good.
Yeah, but as an agent, wouldn't you rather be a free agent than a 7th-round pick and control your destination? Because I mean, they cut 7th-round picks all the time.
Yes, but I always think if you get drafted and you get cut, you have a chance of catching on. And if you're a free agent and you get cut.
Yeah, I would think if you get drafted, that shows the team.
That's like,
yeah, that shows that they want you at least on the practice squad, unless you totally soil yourself in training camp.
Yeah, I just
correct. You could end up being in a worse situation. Meaning, you could end up being in a worse situation to make it at that team because you're right. You don't get a choice versus being a preferred free agent. But remember, most of the PFAs get cut. Most of them get cut. So if you're a 7th-rounder that gets cut, people like this. As agents, you're always like, you like to tell your client, don't worry about it. I'll get to be able to choose the team. Here's what your choices are in reality. If you're a high PFA, it's team A, team B, maybe team C. That's it. That's it. It's not what
your phone's not being blown up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you lose me, or you hear me, or no?
Yeah, I just said nobody's blowing up your phone.
Why is that? Yeah. Nobody's blowing up. You're correct. Well, no, your phone might get blown up, but you only end up getting a few offers.
Right.
So you could get 10 teams reach out to you. We had this with Tim. We had Tim Boyle. Okay, right. Tim Boyle. Got a decent signing bonus. He was a great athlete. Great arm. He's been in a pros as a backup for a long time. But when we had Tim, like we fielded a bunch of calls, but we only ended up getting, I think, 2 offers on him. But we might have fielded 10 calls on it. We might have fielded 10 calls, like, hey, what do you have? But really firm offers, you only end up getting like, if he's a preferred free agent, 2 to 3, unless something happens, meaning you were supposed to be a 1st-rounder, but you got caught doing drugs, and now you fell to free agent. Yeah, that guy's going to get a crazy signing bonus. You know what I mean? He slips all the way. But those are, extreme situations. You know what I mean? Because you might get a guy to steal because he messed up something. He had a criminal record and he should have been a 1st-rounder, but he was accused of something. No, but all right, you know what? He drops all the way. We'll snatch him as a PFA and pay him a lot of money. That guy might field 20 offers. You know what I mean? It's rare.
Dave, how common is it for the free agents to get signing bonuses? Do they all get some sort of a signing bonus? Okay, so it is rare to get one.
Yeah, I would say about half my guys that were, and we specialized in PFAs. I would say half the guys I had got some signing bonus.
Right.
And like I said, I used, at the tail end of it, we used to focus on guys that had freakish qualities, meaning a 6'7" tight end, a 6'6" tight end, a guy that was a track star in high school at running back, who had some injuries, a bunch of injuries in college, but originally was a 4 or 5-star. So we focused on a lot of those guys. So we were able to get a lot of those guys deals because they had a quality, you know what I mean? That was like, this guy might be something. Tim Boyle, right? Who really was a big prospect out of high school and ended up at Eastern Kentucky.
Right.
ended up having a little bit of a checkered career, but really his numbers were insane what he did at Pro Day. So like fast, I can't remember which times, but it was really fast. He jumped really high. He threw the ball really well. You know what I mean? But at times maybe he struggled in gameplay, which is why, he ended up where he was. And he had a UConn. I think he had a terrible situation too.
Oh,
that was the whole trend. Yeah, he had the worst situation.
Thanks to Crazy Horse, he probably got mistreated worse than any quarterback in UConn history.
Agreed. Cochran was close too, right? Wasn't Cochran? Cochran might be number 2.
Definitely. Yep, those would be 1 and 2.
Were they Diaco's guys?
Yep. Well, no, not originally, but Diaco inherited them and had no use for him.
Pasqualoni had him. Okay. Yeah.
And those guys were actually big recruits in high school. Both of them were really
they were huge. Yes.
They were like Orlovsky. They were Orlovsky style commits. You know what I mean? Like at the time, like that's what you looked at them like. When Orlovsky stayed, that was a huge get for UConn. These guys were huge gets. They were big prospects for Connecticut players.
Well, and it was ironic because in the 14th season or the 13th season, when Paul got fired and TJ Weiss took over, he inserted Timmy as the quarterback against the 4 toughest teams on the schedule, and they got roasted, and he didn't do well. Then he put Casey in, and Casey played great for the final 3 games, set all sorts of single game passing records. But then when they hired Crazy Horse, then neither of them fit what he wanted to do. So
I don't think he knew what he wanted to do. Why do you? Can I please ask the?
Did Dave Pindle play for? Who did Dave Pindle play for?
He was a Randy guy, I believe.
He ended up being a Randy guy. Yeah.
Can I please?
He was a great guy. He just had bad timing too, like of when he came in.
He's playing and tearing it up.
Yeah, he tear a great guy. All those guys were I knew them from Pindle. I represented. Obviously, I represented Boyle, so I knew them. Great guys. Just
terrific. And so was Casey.
And Casey, I knew from my camps back in the day, and I knew the father. He also. Those guys were phenomenal people. I thought, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just totally phenomenal people.
Totally Joe, can I please ask what the genesis is of Crazy Horse?
He was just nuts. That's all. I don't think he had a clue what he wanted to do.
He was. I know. Oh, and I still hope they find that trophy from the civil conflict between us and Central Florida.
That's what I knew was officially downhill.
I'm going to invent a rivalry. I thought that
please make it stop.
Yeah, I know.
Please make it stop.
All right. Well, Joe, great job.
I have one basketball question before you go, because I'm sure you guys. By the way, I thought the whole run was phenomenal. I'm sure on the women's side they were a little disappointed. Do you anticipate any big pickups for the guys and the girls in the transfer?
Yeah, they both will.
Okay.
They'll both use the transfer portal shoe. The guys, they both need to bring some people in. The women probably will bring in a big and another point guard or a shooting guard, and probably a wing who can score. And the men, depending on who else leaves. I mean, if Demery leaves, then you got to bring in a point and a couple of bigs. So, yeah, right. I think they'll both do a lot of shopping in the transfer portal.
Yeah, Maria said the same thing. She thought that the women would definitely go for a big and another point guard because KK is just limited offensively. She plays good defense and she just doesn't score enough or produce enough offensively, she thought.
What was so glaring about UCLA besides their chemistry and the way the girls played, and by the way, their coach seems to be a fantastic, another person I don't know her personally, obviously, but she seems like she's really a wonderful person. You know what I mean?
That's
the coach, like
that's her reputation, Shu.
that's what she. I mean, I've watched. You know, you end up binging a lot of stuff on somebody when they win. You know what I mean? And you know, because I seen her obviously over the years, but I didn't know much about her. And I'm like, Jesus, she just seems like she's a wonderful person. But what I noticed was the big they had and how well she moved. I forgot her name, but she was really
Laura
Laura Betts. I mean, she moved so well, and her size was such a factor that South Carolina, besides the other stuff, obviously they shot well, all those other things, they played great, but it was such a factor, especially early on. My goodness, like the first thing I thought was exactly what you said, Joe. Is like, well, you know, we could use like, you know, all the years that we probably had a lot of success, and Joe knows this better than me. I'm sure we had, you know, a big that really, where Sarah Strong doesn't have to be forced into that role. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Getting a girl that's a woman that's 6'4" or you know 6'5" that could really move. And not that I'm not saying they're out there all over the place, because obviously that has to be difficult to find. But you could, that was a big difference. That's what I noticed, and I was just so glaring at how well she moved and how dominant she was. It reminded me of obviously UConn from the 90s when they had the size and
Well,
Carol Walters.
Carol Walters was this kid 30 years ago.
Yes, right. Correct. She probably invented it, right? You know, because Lobo was a center who I think she kind of played a lot of forward in that championship game, right? Because Kara was on the floor maybe a lot.
Well, and Kara got in foul trouble in that game against that championship game too. So Rebecca had to play them in it, but they were kind of like twin towers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say you had Kara, and then you had later on, you had Stephanie Dolson was that kind of player, 6'5", who could move and could shoot. You know, I mean, I think you get a kid that like the Betts kid, and you surround her with players who can shoot. Like the Jaquez kid was great. You know, and look, they're a team that was built the right. You know, you had two different scenarios. You had the men's side where 5 transfers played, and you had the women's side where 5 UCLA players were there the whole time. You know,
exactly, and they have 6 that are potentially will get drafted. And Maria said that the draft order is going to be off now. That AZ Fudd now it could be picked 2nd or 3rd because of Betts moving up, and then she said Olivia Miles could be the first pick in the draft.
Well, there's some 6'6" Spanish kid who's going to go first.
Oh, I'm sorry, she mentioned her. Yes.
Yeah, there's some 6'6" from Europe. There's some 6'6" Spanish kid. It's probably going to go Miles, Betts, Fudd. But I mean, what difference does it make if you go 1st or 3rd? I mean, that's semantics.
No. I know that. I mean, the people were excited about her reuniting with Paige, playing with Paige again. That's all. That's why I said it. But yeah,
I mean, it would have been nice. I mean, but things don't always happen that way.
No, and it's good for them because the salary is much higher for rookies, so they'll be taken care of. And the draft is tonight, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Monday. So we'll see what happens tonight, how things go. And the WNBA is right around the corner. But go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no, the WNBA is. I'll tell you this: with all the things that have gone on with their CBA and everything, they have a lot of attention on the WNBA between Caitlin Clark, obviously initially. Obviously, Paige had a really good first year. And now, they're not
Sophie
afraid to
Cunningham.
So they kind of got some momentum. I don't know.
Well, Sophie Cunningham. Look, Sophie Cunningham's not getting attention because of her game.
I know, Joe. I'm well aware.
But she's got our attention, Joe. She does have our attention.
Well aware.
She certainly does.
Well aware. No, but I mean, hey, it's put up or shut up. They got almost everything they wanted. the revenue share, the salary structures. There's already been a bunch of players signed to max contract deals, the 1.4 million. So I think, they have expansion teams until 2030. It's just sad we're losing the Connecticut Sun to Houston. But as Maria said, nobody wants to play in Uncasville.
Exactly right.
That's what she
Exactly
said.
Right. You're lucky they lasted as long as they did.
Yeah, Maria thought that they could have moved to Hartford or Boston, but Houston was one of the original teams, so we'll see what happens. But so, Joe, predictions for UConn baseball this week with BC and St. John's. What are you seeing?
Well, I'd see whichever team pitches better will win. That's the only baseball prediction you can make.
I got you.
I mean, it's not, if the UConn starters pitch like they did last weekend at Butler, then they have a real good chance on the weekend. If they don't, then there's probably issues.
Right. Dave?
Well, I actually 100% agree with Joe. The other thing is that it's pitching has become more and more important in college because of the bats, and they're crazy. They're even though they try to limit it as much as they can, you can't have a super bat anymore. But because of the bats, if the better pitcher, the better pitchers you have, the more chance you have in each game, because guys are going to get hits if they make contact. So it makes a monumental difference in college. And you see those guys like the LSU going to the pros because they make such a big difference, and you can see it glaringly because if you tap the ball in college baseball, that thing goes near the back of the park. You know what I mean? So the pitcher's got to be able to have location. He's got to be able to have speed, and he's got to be able to locate. Put the ball where he wants it, because otherwise. I agree. And there's if you're slightly off in college baseball, it's 10 runs. You look up and it's 10 runs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Shu, but I think the big thing is the depth. If your starter doesn't have a good game, you got to have a guy who can come in
the bullpen
and hold the fort.
Finish.
And UConn's got a couple of those guys in Shaw and Myers. So they can, and Charlie Hale, obviously. So that gives them a little bit of a tug in that direction.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, great show, guys. We covered everything. We'll find out what happens with Mr. Silas Demery Jr. And we look forward to the WNBA draft tonight to see where AZ lands. And UConn baseball, big week, BC and St. John's. So for the coach, Dave Schumann, and the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D. I'm Steve Cully, best podcast host in the universe. Remember, life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.